Hi, this is Milton Shupe, and welcome back. This is Gmax 1.2 for the beginning modeler, video number 43, the topic of which today is Build the Virtual Cockpit, Part 4. The objective today is to build the joystick control and animate it, and to build a seat, as you can see here in the scene. And I went through a quick trial here just to make sure I could still do it. So now that we've done it, let's see. I want to freeze these other things to kind of get them out of our way, but use them for reference. And I want to delete these things. So let's do that, and let's get right down to business. First of all, we built a seat because it makes for good reference. So we'll need to go to standard primitives here, and we're going to build a box of some proportions here. And maybe something like that. It looks a little small, but we'll fix that. And with a little depth, so there we have a box, and we're going to do two length and width segments, and the height segments are fine the way it is. That's a good start, so don't have to be too particular here because we're going to change it up anyhow. Let's raise it up a bit to the height on these are going to be somewhere around just below the panel line here, and it's about the right depth, but whatever, we'll fix all that once we get into it. And I want to give the edges kind of a rounded appearance, not much, just to give you something to think about. So we'll chamfer those edges a little, and you could do it again if you wanted a little smoother look. Alright, and then we're going to go to top view. We're just going to elongate these just a tad. Oops, wrong one. There, something like that. Kind of give it something other than a square appearance. And then I'm going to grab a few polys here. Let's see, we're back facing here. And we're going to extrude them up or down, either way, just a smidgen. Then we're going to bring them in a tad. Now, if you're building a fighter seat here, a lot of those guys were wearing parachutes on their butt, so you have to provide a home for that parachute to sit, but not too deep, otherwise you get the pilot's legs sitting on these hard edges, so we don't want that. Just bring it in a little bit more. So let's bring it up about like that. Oh yeah, that looks reasonable. Just to your liking. Alright, then we're going to grab a couple of these polys back here, and let's kind of flatten these out a little bit before we get started. It just makes the job a little less. Yeah, I don't like the way that looks. Let's see, let's try not edges but vertices. Really, I didn't want all these. I didn't want this lip to be this way, so let's just level it. There you go. Now we can go back and we kind of overdid it. That's close enough. Now let's grab those polys and extrude them up for the back. And we'll tweak this once we get some height to it. Extrude, yeah, I'm still on it. Now if I could get on it. And maybe one more time. Now we're just trying to get it in the ballpark and trying to get something here to work with. And once we do, we can shape it as we need to. Pull this down a little bit so I can, I can get access to stuff. Alright, now let's bring these in just a smidgen here. Same here. And maybe a little more here. Whatever looks good for you. And it's kind of a straight edge back, so let's bring it back a little. Let's see. There we go. I always try to look at that before I do an operation, but sometimes I forget. We'll leave a little curvature there at the top. Alright, so there we have the basic seat. And size it and shape it as you will. So, assuming that that's satisfactory, let's center the object, line the world, reset scale. And now let's look if we're in the center here of the cockpit. We're not, or in the Gmax scene, so we'll center it up. So there we have kind of a seat. Let's back it up as far as we can go here, because we need all the room in this cockpit we can get. Now, once you're happy with all that, you can go in here and delete all these unseen polys. That would include, that would include the back. These will not be seen. Maybe the top ones will, so we'll leave them. Usually, it's a little boxy yet, so let's pull these sides in. Yeah, like that. And same with the front. Let's pull these back. Pull to the front. Okay. Now it's starting to take shape. Now, if you're building an aircraft where the seat is not recessed for the parachute, then of course you can always let's see, bring these polys back up and about like this, and then do another extrude for the cushion, if you will. And you'll have to shape and size this the way you want, but just as an example here. I think that was a little low, so let's bring it back up and push it out some, and we can extrude it. So it gives you kind of a cushion effect, but there's lots of ways to do this. You just have to use your imagination. And then when you smooth all this, that ends up looking like a pretty nice cushion down there, and you throw some sheepskin on it, and it looks pretty nice. So that's kind of the seat, if you will, and let's give it a name, SEAT seat. And if everything wasn't frozen, we'd go ahead and link it to the cockpit. We'll do that later. So let's get rid of this gray here, so it's not jumping out at us. And let's talk about doing a joystick. So we're just going to do let's go to the top, sorry. Do a cylinder here, and we're going to start somewhere here in the middle. Gmax doesn't seem to like to do a small circle when you're doing this. So you just have to create one and whatever. Get it started, and then you can set the size as you need. 0.018 maybe, I don't know. See what it looks like from the right. Oops. Get off that, right? Okay, way too many sides for what we're doing here, so let's get this down to something more reasonable. You can do an 8 or a 10 here. We'll do a 10. We're going to have about 6 or 7 segments in this before we're done, so, but that's a good start. So maybe a little fat. We're going to adjust it as we go anyhow, so no problem. So let's kind of get this in position here. This should be down on the floor or somewhere. I'm not sure I have this floor adjusted height-wise just right. I think it's close, but who knows. So let's just start grabbing some polys here. And first thing we want to do is make sure that ignore backfacing is off. Pull this down. We're going to spread this out like this to give us kind of a boot look, and we'll texture that as a boot. Pull this up to about here. We'll pull it forward a little bit. We're going to pull this forward a little. There we go. We'll bring the rest of these up. Pull them back a little. Pull these up, trying to get up here to about the height of pilot sitting here, and his legs are here. And so his arm, his elbow is going to be about here. So that's kind of what you have to do. So let's see. We're going to come down here. Just trying to get kind of a joystick shape here. Joystick control shape. So let's go to here and do a couple extrudes. Get the handle here. We'll have to adjust the height later. And a little bit for that, and a little bit for that. Now let's see what we got. Right. Alright, let's take this one, bring it down. Actually, these can be probably a little smaller. Just trying to give you the idea about how to do this. Not that it's going to be some kind of work of art, because it's not. It's not. Then we're going to do one more extrude here, and maybe that'll. Oops. I blew right by it. Where in the world? Oh, got to be in polygon mode. Shoot. Okay, we'll do one more little extrude here. We're going to pull that in to about a button size and extrude that. And I know there's a button on there for a reason. I'm not sure if it's a firing button or whatever. So if you're doing a joystick, sometimes they have them on here, not all the time. And if you really want to get cutesy and roundsy, that button would be pull it in, kind of round it off like that. You can pull it all the way in and then zoom in on that. You select these vertices and weld them. And then when you go back and select all these polys, clear all that smoothing, and then come back and look. You know, you got some semblance of a joystick. I think it's a little long. Who am I? I am, yeah, probably a little long. This curvature here is to get around the seat a little bit, so that's what that's all about. Let's pull this up. This boot is actually about that long, I think. And maybe bring it down a smidgen. Alright, so there you have a joystick. Kind of, sort of, almost. And it's relatively dark, usually, so let's give it a dark color. Alright, so there you have that. Go into right mode here, right viewport, sorry. Now we're going to have to animate it, so we need a couple of helpers. And there is this thing called helpers. If I can click on the right button. They're called dummies. And dummies are used for things where you don't actually need geometry, so we don't actually need geometry here. So we're going to put a couple of dummies down here to rotate this left and right and fore and aft. So they don't have to be very big at all. We'll just create two of them here, some size. And good, those are done. Now we're going to link the so-called, did I not give that a name? What is the name of the cylinder? Let's call this, I don't know, joystick. And let's link that to dummy 1. And then let's link dummy 1 to dummy 2. Okay, so now we have a little hierarchy here that we can work with. So dummy 1 and dummy 2, what do we call them? Well, because they're animated names, we're going to run over here to Tag Tool and get the names for these bad boys. So let's go to Keyframe, Animation Names. The first one we're going to name is Lever Stick Fore Aft, Forward and Aft. That's what we're naming that bad boy. And we're going to plop in a 1 on the end of that name. Then we'll select the other one. If I can get to it here. Dummy 2. And we're going to name that Lever Stick Left Right. Alright, that part's done. We can close that. Now these are already linked, so I can't go back moving them anymore without moving everything. So we'll just go ahead and animate them. So both of these are animated 0, 50, and 100. So let's go ahead and create those keys. We're on 0, so let's create a rotation key. Go to 50, create a position key. Go to 100, create a position key. Now let's do the same thing for the other. At 0, a rotation key. At 50, a position key. And at 100, a position key. Now these guys are ready for animation. Okay, for fore and aft, first we have to set the joystick so that, here's the way it works, both of these animations. 0 is center. So on the fore and aft, 50 is center. 0 is all the way forward, 100 is all the way back. And then on the left, right, 50 is center, 0 is all the way left, and 100 is all the way right. So we're on fore and aft. Let's go ahead and put it in its starting position. So we're going to rotate that. We're going to be on the local coordinate. So we're going to rotate that forward and say we can do 10 or 15 degrees. Now we'll try 15. Maybe a little strong, but I don't know. I've never sat in the cockpit of a fighter, have you? Okay, that's our starting point, so we're ready to animate. So we're going to go back to 50 here with Animate on, and we're going to roll that back 15 degrees. let's just undo that. We're going to come back 15 degrees. What was going on there? Must have had my eyes somewhere else. Okay, we got that 15 degrees. We're back to center. Now we're coming all the way back on this one. 15 degrees. They both don't have to be 15. I mean, if there's a reason that one should be more than the other, then that's fine. So we got our fore and aft rotation. Okay, now we need to get our left-right animation going. Lever stick left-right. Alright, and probably a top view is the best place to do this one. Alright, we'll do the same thing, 15 degrees. So let's get this in starting position by rotating the y-axis 15 degrees this way. Good. Alright, we're ready to animate, so let's click the animate button. Bring this back 15 degrees to top dead center here. Mechanic talk there. And another 15 degrees. There you go. We have the joystick animated fore, aft, and left, right. That's the way it will look when you have both of those animated. So it goes from forward left to bottom or backward right. And that's done. So we now have created a very good looking seat. At least once it gets sheepskin on it, I guess it'd be good looking. Maybe raise up that cushion a little bit more. Now if you were building say a jet seat, of course you're going to get prettier than this. This is just quick and dirty. But you could also select these vertices in here before you build all this other stuff, or not the vertices but the edge, and chamfer that wide enough so that you could, if the jet is one that has a joystick that you pull back with a wheel, and there's sometimes a cutout in the seat. So what you do is just use the chamfer to spread this out and then extrude that new poly back like that, and you got it. So just an idea there for a different kind of seat. Okay, so we have concluded this part of the tutorial by creating both the seat and the joystick and animating the joystick. These bad boys will work and be fine. Now, by the way, you can also, if you have the need in the plane you're doing, detach this button. You might want to cap the bottom of it and roll it down in here a little bit further. That's up to you. And you can animate that button then, depending on what it's used for. You may have to do custom XML, but you can animate the button. Alright, so, and maybe to give it some viewing interest, you could also detach these and make it red. Just that'll keep people on their toes. Just tell them not to push that button or else. Okay, let's just go to the right side here and let's see what's going on with. Okay, we could actually move this back a little bit. Alright, and so that gives you an idea how you would go about creating such a thing. Before we finish up here, let's do our proper links. Let's unfreeze by name and do the Beast Virtual Cockpit. Now we can link the lever stick and the seat to the Virtual Cockpit infrastructure. There. Now we've got everything we need. And if we have, if we unfreeze off, see if we got everything linked up. Yes, we do. See, we're building up some parts here. So we're doing good. Okay, guys, hope this is helpful and gives you a few pointers how to go about doing some stuff. And we'll be back here in the next video working on a couple more items. So thanks for joining and have a good day.